I like to say water is what separates boys from men, and that's a common saying that you hear in the military, and not just boys to men, but also obviously girls to women, same thing. So water is a huge separation. So it's one thing to hold your breath on land when you're not surrounded by water. It's a whole nother ball game when you're deep in like the deep end of the pool and you're holding your breath and you're running out of air. You can't just take a big gulp of air in and continue doing your exercise. So that's a whole nother part of the mind that you're training at the same. Is that shallow water blackout is a real thing. You can drown in shallow water, so you have to be very careful and never do these workouts unsupervised. Welcome back, my fellow and future users. This is the introduction to my Swim and Sweat series. I'm going to be going over 5 benefits to this kind of workout. Here they are in order of precedence: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These workouts are done with a heavier weight, so it's actually strength training in the pool. It doesn't matter what kind of pool you have. It could be a pool that you have, if you're lucky enough, at your home, like me, or if you have a community pool nearby that's cheap or free or whatever. The swim and sweat workouts are my personal favorite kind of workouts. I have a pretty extensive background in military training, specifically in the United States Coast Guard. I attended Coast Guard Helicopter Rescue Swimmer School in 2014, and as you can imagine, they do a ton of swimming, practically, literally living in the water, especially during that training. So I learned a ton of things in school, not only in school, but the 2 years that I spent before even going to school to prepare myself to go to the school had so many benefits, and not just for my fitness, but just my overall health and well-being. And I'm going to go over some of that in the 5 things that are my favorite parts of this type of workout. So the swim and sweat workouts are a combination of obviously water and high intensity interval training workouts and exercises. Get out of the way. Come on. Lay down. Lay down. It doesn't matter what kind of climate you're in. It could be outside, it could be indoors. It doesn't matter, but it just has to be done in water at least waist deep. The most benefit that you're going to get would be in the deep end of the pool. Now, some community pools may or may not allow you to bring a dumbbell into the pool, but one thing you need to make sure with any pool that you're working out at is that these dumbbells weigh a lot, and you have to be careful not to just let these dumbbells drop and slam them on the concrete floors, because if these pool decks crack, it can cost thousands of dollars to fix. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind. You have to be really careful for. A lot of this stuff is done holding your breath in the deep end of the pool if you're comfortable there. It is a progression, so I'm going to be showing you in these workouts, I'm going to be showing you a lot of different movements that you can do in shallow water as well as deep water. Now, my pool here that you can see is only about 6 feet deep, so you can get a really good workout with just 3 feet of water, but fortunately I have 6 feet. It's even better in a deeper pool. 5 benefits to this kind of workout that I call swim and sweat. The first benefit to these workouts is hypoxic training. And what hypoxic training is, it's a fancy term for pretty much a lack of oxygen and an accumulation of CO2. Obviously, when you're underwater, you have to hold your breath. Duh. But when you hold your breath, you're using the oxygen that you have inside your system, but you are not inhaling, consuming anymore. So you're not delivering any more oxygen to the muscles. So holding your breath makes your body more efficient at using the oxygen that you have inside of you. Another reason that kind of correlates with the oxygen, using oxygen more efficiently, is makes your body much more efficient at exhaling it and getting rid of it every chance that it gets. So a lot of these workouts, you're going to be coming up for one breath of air, and you're going to be going right back down and continuing the exercise that you were doing. So when you come up for air like that, your body gets very efficient at exhaling all the CO2 that it possibly can, right? Because you're very limited with the oxygen you're inhaling and the CO2 you're exhaling. So one personal benefit that I've noticed, like physically noticed from all of the hypoxic training that I did all over the years, well, my average resting heart rate is about 45, which is extremely low. So an average person's heart rate, male, female, average is, I think, between 60 and 80 beats per minute. Mine's at 45. Number two, benefit number two is the cooler water temperature. So depending on the pool you're at, like we're here in sunny Florida, it's not so sunny right now, but my pool is not heated. So I think my pool temperature is probably between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really cold for pool water. Usually the water temperature is cooler than the body temperature, right? So that just in turn cools your core temperature down while you're just sitting in the water, right? So during the workout, that's extremely beneficial. Physiologically, what that does is it reduces swelling and reduces inflammation, which is a huge benefit. Benefit number three, however you want to do it, whatever. Benefit number three is it's very low impact. And this series is much more different than just swimming. You will be doing some swimming, but the basis of Swim and Sweat is strength training or strength and conditioning in the pool. And I have a pretty cool statistic. So gravity in water is equal to 1, okay? You may not know what the heck that means, but just to put it into perspective, Earth's gravity is 9.8. That's almost 10 times what it is in the water. That's like mind-blowing, right? The moon's gravity is equal to 1.6. So technically the gravity in water is less than the gravity on the moon. So that's kind of a way to put it into perspective. It's another really good benefit to the Swim and Sweat strength training. And the fourth benefit to the Swim and Sweat workouts or to strength and conditioning in the pool is compression. The compression of water on your body when you're actually in the water. So when you're standing in a pool at 3 feet of water, right, so about waist deep, depending on how tall you are, kind of short, so it's about waist deep for me. When I'm standing in 3 feet of water, all of the body parts that are underwater, the compression on the body is 1.4 psi. So you may not know really what that means, but all that means is it's putting, and if you're in 6 feet of water, that's 2.8 psi. There's a stocking, it's called a TED stocking, and really what it is just a sleeve that goes around your legs, your arms, and it puts compression on that limb. And on average, it puts about 0.36 psi of compression on your joint. So if you remember what I just said, in 3 feet of water, it's roughly 1.4 psi. So that's over double what those compression sleeves do. That's a lot more compression on your joints and your body than anything the doctors will give you. And it's free. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on some fancy compression machine when water is free, really. I mean, essentially, you might have to pay a small fee to get in a pool, but it's cheaper than buying one of those compression sleeves, right? Am I right? Am I right? And the fifth and final benefit to the Swim Sweat workouts is the drag and turbulence that you create when you're moving in the water. So if you're just moving with body weight and you're moving, you're actually creating, you're pushing against and creating drag. That's the resistance that you're feeling. And what you're also doing at the same time or simultaneously is creating a lot of turbulence, right? And momentum moving in that same direction. So when I swipe, I have a lot of turbulent water that's running in the same direction, right? So if I were to go from right to left and then right away from left to right, I would be pushing against that turbulent water and creating drag and the resistance of the waters. You're moving a lot of joints, a lot of limbs at the same time, so you're creating a lot of different turbulences in different directions, right? And if you're doing a workout with multiple people in the pool at the same time, there's already a bunch of turbulent water coming in your direction anyway. So there's a lot of different forces moving at one time when you're in the pool, which is something you don't have when you're just working out on dry land. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe if you like this video. And I have a question for you. Do you have a pool nearby that you can do one of these workouts in? I'm Coach Pags, and I'm here to promote health, wealth, and happiness in all.